Unless otherwise indicated, Ratchet Book Club is intended for a mature audience. Viewer discretion is greatly advised. Welcome to Ratchet Book Club, where we read hood classics and good classics. I'm Derek. In the last episode, we saw how Winter played herself in her attempted theft of Sister Soulja's AIDS benefit money and also Doc's petty cash. But at the same time, we learned that Winter had been manipulated, deceived, and sexually assaulted by Tony, one of GS's punk-ass bodyguards. And Tony had no qualms about laughing about it either, which niggas just make me so mad sometimes. And so I don't think she's going to really handle the situation with Tony. I don't think that it's something where it's going to linger. Winter doesn't seem like that type of person to think that it was something bad that happened. I'm trying to think of the best way to say it. I think that she's just like players get played sometimes, and I got played, and now we move on. But I hope she gets some get back. Lord, I hope she gets some revenge, because I want to get revenge for her. If y'all have any thoughts, you can send a voicemail to 916-633-1537. You can also email us at wretchedandratchet@gmail.com. And you can send us a DM on our Twitter page, which is Ratchet Book Club. With no further ado, let's go ahead and get into Chapter 16. I found myself seated in the hotel bar. I didn't have no thoughts because my brain was shut down or frozen or something. Oh, yeah, after she played herself, she used a bit of the last money she had, which was $40. She spent 20 of it. Actually, she spent 35 of it, 35 of the 40, getting out to Jersey to this hotel so she could count the cash. But it turns out that Lauren switched her coach bag with Winter's coach bag, and Winter had all her money that she had stolen, so all Soulja's money in the coach bag. She can't go back there, obviously, so I found myself seated in the hotel bar. I didn't have no thoughts because my brain was shut down or frozen or something. I didn't even know what city I was in. I was able to hold off the waiter, who at first was pressuring me to buy a drink. I told him I was waiting for my boyfriend, who had a room in the hotel but was running late. After 1 hour, that excuse was exhausted, so I gathered my bags and walked out the front door of the hotel. The hotel was situated right off the highway. I could hear the cars passing behind the wooded area that separated the hotel from everything else. As I stepped out into the street, I looked to my left and saw nothing but trees. About a half mile up, there was a traffic light. Complete silence. To my right, there was more woods, no stores, payphones, and no signs that people even lived there. As the winter chill cut through my light red leather jacket, I clapped my hands together to keep them from stiffening. When you have someplace to live, you don't think about the weather too much. Facing the reality that I had nowhere to go, I realized that it was me versus nature tonight. As I thought of every person I'd ever known, my list of who could help me added up to almost nothing. I had a brainstorm and ran back inside the hotel. I sat in the telephone booth and tried desperately to remember Sterling's phone number. Calm down, don't panic, I told myself. You know what Daddy says. But it was useless. When I relaxed enough to recall the number, I dialed it and got the stinking operator's voice. This number has been changed to a non-published number. In a rage, I kicked the folding telephone booth door and injured my own toe. In the hotel bathroom, I removed my red skirt, white shirt, and stockings. Pulling my jeans, polo shirt, and Clarks out of the Nike bag, I got dressed to be more comfortable for the unknown. Leaning against the mirror, I realized that not only was my diamond jewelry that Daddy gave me and all my money gone, but so was my box cutter. I felt naked without a weapon. I was taught that a girl should always have a razor, switchblade, box cutter, needle, mace, or a burner for her defense. Remembering a Brooklyn specialty, I pulled out a pair of socks from my Nike bag and headed out the door. Across the street where the woods lined the outside of the highway, I filled my extra socks with big, sharp rocks. Squatting down, digging the dirt separating the rocks, the voice in my head said, "This is it." Packing the socks in my pocketbook, I headed back to the hotel bar. There was no plan. Everything was spontaneous. I didn't know what to do now, but I would know when the time was right. In all the movies I had ever seen, the bartender's always the one with all the information. So I ordered a ginger ale to purchase the right to sit at the bar stool and talk to him. "You live here?" I asked him. "Sure do." "It seems like a small place. I'm from the city." "It's a great town, Teaneck. We're part of Bergen County, the third richest county in the country." "Is that right?" I acted casual, unimpressed. "We've got great shopping malls just a short way down the highway. That's where all the restaurants are, too. You like dancing? There's a few clubs out here, but mostly people party at the bar scenes." "Do you have homeless people?" I asked him. "What?" he responded, a little puzzled. "Ordinary question for a New Yorker," I smiled. "Our homeless live better than I do, and I work. When you live in a town where people have money, there's a lot of charity. Practically any church could point you in the right direction." "Hey, you're the most glamorous homeless person I ever saw," the baby-faced white boy said. We laughed. He was just passing the time, but I was taking in everything that surrounded me. Every customer was important. I watched the opening and closing of the cash register and the woman playing the jukebox. There was an elderly woman who entered the bar 45 minutes later. She caught my interest. She was wearing a Versace blouse, ugly but expensive earrings, and some fine slacks. As she sat down at the bar and ordered a Bloody Mary, she fumbled with her wallet and accidentally dropped some loose $20 bills on the bar top. When she gathered them up to put them back inside, I saw about 7 different credit cards. Her hands kept moving like she had that shaking disease. It only took seconds to catch a pile of diamonds on her wedding finger. The slim driving shoes by Gucci with the leather patch to the heel were being wasted on her old feet. I tried to guess what she had in the Nordstrom shopping bag underneath the tissue paper. "I guess your boyfriend's a real jerk," the waiter said to me. "It's either that or he's some kind of NBA player. You know, they stay here sometime." "What kind of guy other than a superstar could leave a beautiful girl like you in the bar alone?" All right, don't tell everyone," I teased him, gathering my stuff and waving goodbye. It was only 20 minutes later that the old woman came out into the parking lot. When she saw me emerge from behind the side wall, she was startled and placed her wrinkled hand over her heart. "I'm sorry," I said in my most pleasant voice. "It's just me, from the bar." "Oh, not to worry," she chuckled nervously. As she clutched her bag, zigzagging in between this car and that car, I walked behind her. She was chatting about the cold weather and how she always misplaces her car when she parks. "I do that too," I told her. But a young girl like you shouldn't have a memory problem. When she reached the Jaguar parked right behind the shrubbery, I laughed. What a coincidence! That's my car besides yours. We both turned our back to one another, me to get my keys out, her to place the keys which were already in her hand in the lock. In a split second, she didn't know what hit her. It was my stone-filled sock up against her head. She withered like a flower and fell to the ground. I had $200 in cash, one credit card, the American Express Gold card, 2 diamond rings, and those Gucci shoes. I was on my way. Lucky for me, I was smart enough to leave her car in that Nordstrom's bag right there. I didn't run or nothing. I just walked up the pathway alongside the woods. The bartender had told me how to get to the bus. On the highway route, I discharged at the Holiday Inn. It was $60 for the night, which was more reasonable for me at this time. After a long, hot shower, I sat on the bed with the pillows behind me. For some reason, I couldn't settle. I couldn't sleep. I pulled out those letters. I would read them all. I would find out Midnight's address. Maybe I would go wherever he was. He was the only link to my past. The only free person I could trust right now. May 1993. Dear Bilal, when I first saw you in the library at Columbia University, I assumed you were a student. I'm sure you didn't notice me. There were many reasons why I noticed you. 1, you were reading Hadith. Secondly, you just had a powerful presence. Now this may sound odd, but I watch everything and everybody very closely. It's my way of learning to understand life and people. Most of the brothers at the Columbia campus have no presence at all. In fact, it's as if they've made a conscious effort to reduce themselves so no one will find them offensive, too black, or too strong. Even the brothers who aren't introverted are not like men. They're like children or caricatures. They play games they should have left behind many years ago and find it extremely difficult to focus on anything that is not of a required academic nature. So there you were, mature, black, and yes, beautiful. I didn't disturb you because you seemed perfect as you were, uninterrupted. I knew that if I didn't stop to say what's up or introduce myself, I might not ever see you again. After all, I'm not a Columbia student and I'm only on campus once a week. But still, I let it go. After not seeing you for a couple weeks, I was surprised to notice you heading towards me with Phil, the Columbia student and volunteer in the children's program where I teach. When finally he introduced us, it seemed like we barely said peace to one another, yet we looked into each other's eyes, forgetting to drop hands from our initial shake. I'd be lying if I said I was surprised when Phil asked me if he could pass you my phone number. Before giving it to him, I asked your age. He said you were 22. He volunteered that you were not a student, just a friend of his from Brooklyn. When I asked him what you do, he fumbled around for a few seconds, then said you were a mechanic. If I came off cool when you called, my voice hid my real feelings. Inside, I felt everything shift. On a usual day, I am so unimpressed with everything and everybody. It seems every word shared between a man and a woman has already been said, and nothing can be done that I haven't already seen. And nobody means what they say anyway, so it didn't really matter. Yet, as we talked, I felt my breathing intensify, a sign that I'm still alive and capable of feeling. I felt you watching as I taught my students on the day we agreed to go out after class and you arrived early. At the cafe, after debating with you about whether there's hope for a new uprising amongst today's youth, the thing that stood out most in my mind was your hands. On one side, they were dark and strong, long and thick. On the other side, they were soft with deep-colored lines. Your nails were clean. I'd even go so far as to say they were manicured as I noticed their dull shine. When I asked you one-on-one what you do for a living, you responded with the same silence that Phil had. Seconds later, you said you were a businessman. When I pressed, you said you owned a car service in Brooklyn. It probably was the way that you walked, like you owned all of Manhattan, or the way that you talk in a masculine, slow yet steady way, Or maybe it's the way you place your hand in the middle of my back as I'm walking through a door that you're holding. So I figured an auto mechanic and a businessman with a car service were not so far apart. Besides, you even gave me your business card. Because we're both busy, I treasured the time we had after class once a week. I held on to things I want to discuss in politics concerning the progress of our people. I knew you would always introduce an interesting angle or unexplored response. Besides, every now and then, I get sick of staring into the blank faces of students who could care less about world events, politics, or even people they're not directly related to. So you got inside of me. Not physically, but in more intimate ways. You got inside my mind, my thoughts, and my spirit. When a girlfriend of one of the sisters on campus said your name was Midnight, I told her she must be thinking and talking about the wrong guy. But she described you so well, knew the car you drive, and said she heard you were involved in questionable activities. Sitting in my bedroom one night, I pulled out your business card. It listed the name of your company, BK Car Service. But nowhere on the card did it say your name, Bilal Jones. The phone number on the card was the same as your home number. When I called information, neither your name or the name of your car service was listed. I confess that I went to the address on your business card. There was no car service. It was a mailbox place. So here I am, reviewing everything in my mind, knowing in my subconscious that a man with such a sensual level of confidence about everything, a trait that's been erased from so many black men, had to have some kind of tragic irony to him. I flipped through the scenes of our 2.5-month emerging friendship. Despite my sweet addiction, I decided to end it. I'm writing to you because it's easy for me this way. I can't be deceived or seduced by the passion and strength of your voice. I can't be persuaded by the power of your reasoning. I will not call you. I ask that you don't call me either. As this class ends this week, you will not see me anymore. I see no reason to know you, to continue, if you are involved in what I suspect. In fact, it makes you so typical and undesirable to me. SS. May 1993. Sister Soulja. All a man has is his business. Without it, he has nothing. Women are confused. The same things you love are the same things you hate. Have you ever seen an aggressive, confident man with broke pockets and no business? If you did, you wouldn't remember him. If you remembered him, you wouldn't respect him. You could have just bounced and not said nothing, no goodbyes. But you said something, so what we have between us must not really be over. If I don't see you now, I'll see you later. But I will see you. Bilal. July 1993. Peace, Soulja. You are always on my mind. Even when I try and push you out, you're on my radio or on somebody's television. So you're holding out on me. I'm surprised. I just knew I would hear from you. I even bet myself it will be a week to 10 days after I dropped you a line, but nothing since. So the strong girl thing isn't an illusion. You were right about one thing. Everything being said by the women I date has already been said. Everything being done, I already did it. As you put it one time when we were chilling, what's the sense in fucking an empty-headed girl? It's like fucking a hole in the wall. I know I bugged you when you said it. I didn't even consider it seriously. But now that it's been brought to my attention, I find myself tripping over the words we shared, the thoughts we exchanged, and your pretty smile. I miss you. Give a man a break. Missing you. Bilal. September 1993. Peace. I reread your letter. You said you like to watch people. That's how you get your understanding of life. Well, I live in these streets. That's how I get my understanding of life. The hard way. The real way. A man's way. I heard you talking about black unity the other night on the radio. Look, Soulja, I dig you, but you're fooling yourself. Niggas ain't never gonna be unified. You put all your time into organizing niggas, yet you lock out the nigga who's real with you. Me. What do you want from me? Can I live? Are you better than the niggas you supposed to be helping? You put yourself in a position to judge, but only God can do that. I want to see you. I know your Columbia class start up again next week. I'm coming to check you. Peace. Midnight. September 1993. Dear Bilal, it's funny how the same thing a man loves is the same thing he hates. What makes me stand out as a woman is that I have non-negotiable principles, strength, and faith in my people. From the time that we shared, you seem to love that, admire it even. Now you hate it because my ways have isolated you. The truth is, you've isolated yourself. I move on a vibe, a combination of what I see, think, learn, and feel. If I was moved strictly on feeling, I'd get myself into a whole lot of trouble. I already did that when I was 18, 19, and 20. Now I'm 24. I've learned a lot, because that's what we're all supposed to do. Only a complete asshole would keep repeating the same old mistakes and blaming it on something else. Hell, we have all had it hard. It may not seem like it, but I grew up in the projects. I lived in poverty. I didn't have no father in my house. I'm not asking for sympathy. Every black face has a story. Many times a gruesome story. But we have to get over it no matter how bad it might be. We have to recreate our families and build our communities again. It may seem hopeless. Many times I get depressed, but I move on because I have to. God requires this from me. I do know something. Where there's drugs, there can be no love. There can be no family. Drugs robs every man, person, woman, and child of their beauty. Drugs turns people into animals who can only respond to instincts. Drugs are so powerful they eradicate the God in both the taker and the giver. I've worked with prisoners incarcerated in New York, New Jersey, and North Carolina. Hundreds, thousands, and millions of drug-related convictions. The contradiction, maybe I'll find out after death, is that behind those walls seem to be the majority of black men, and increasingly women. The tall, the dark, the beautiful. But how do we get men and women before they are hunted like foxes and trapped like rats and treated like ants to understand the concept of unity, working, building, and living together? It seems the black national anthem is, if it's broke, don't fix it. What do I want from you? The best that you have to offer instead of the least and the easy. Do I think that I'm better than you? No. I know in many ways you're brilliant. That was my first real attraction, the power of your mind. But you lack the understanding of life that every man should have. I can assume this because you have not denied being involved with drugs. Therefore, in life we make choices, conscious decisions to move left or right. We reap the rewards and or disasters of the choices we make. I do feel you. I feel you all the time. However, I won't see you. Don't bother to check me. SS. September 1993. Yeah. You want a raw dog? Here it is. I tried to hold back because of my respect for you. You won't see me at this point, so I have nothing to lose. Men and women never think the same. They live different lives, separate realities. Women want love, peace, unity, and shit like that. Men are tribal. I ain't trying to save the world. I'm just trying to get a piece for my crew, That's all. That's all it's about, and that's the most you can ask for. What do you know about that? You want to know who I am and what I'm about and how I'm living? You want the truth? My name is Bilal Ode. My mother and father and I were born in the Sudan. They raised me to understand love, honor, respect, loyalty, and family. Then my father was killed by tribalism in a war for what men want: power, control, and land. Just so you be clear, my father was killed by black men, African men. Me and my pregnant mother came to this country when I was 7. From the minute I arrived, I had to fight. Niggas disrespected my name, disrespected my accent, disrespected my clothes. While holding my ground, I got rid of my accent, my clothes, and even my name. I found out quick what brought respect, and I schemed to get it. In the hood, I've been fucked up by black cops and white cops. Why? For no reason. Except the cops is the tribe, and they fighting for a piece of the action as well. I got into my body, working out, judo, taekwondo, all of that. I learned everything I needed to know about burners, all kinds. One afternoon, I'm walking down the staircase to get my little sister from the babysitter's house. I was late. The elevator was broke as usual. Now this big nigga around my way named Lance, a dude 3 times my size, who had banged me up more than a couple times, had my 8-year-old sister pinned against the wall with her panties down and his dick in his hands. I'm wondering what this motherfucker's doing, because she ain't got no titties, curves, nothing yet. When I called out his name, he turned around and charged at me. He had the same look on his face that he had the last time he almost broke my jaw. So I shot him, right between the eyes. At 14 years old, I was convicted of manslaughter and incarcerated. I didn't read about it. I didn't go to jail to give a speech. I was a prisoner. The whole time that this was going on, my mother was praying, crying, being emotional, and going back and forth to work 10 hours a day. You know what she wanted? The same thing you wanted. Peace, unity, happiness. But that's not what was happening on the streets. Inside, I was stomping with the big dogs, in prison with grown men due to prison overcrowding. What was going down? Tribalism. War over anything. The toilet, the phone, cigarettes, space to breathe. Niggas versus niggas. Niggas versus Ricans. Decepticons versus Bloods. Niggas versus Aryans. The Latin Kings, whatever. Everybody had a crew. My moms came more than once a week and kept my commissary stacked. Anything I asked for, she brought it. Sneakers, gear, whatever. All she did was work and save. Point blank, she would have done anything for me. It was 7 p.m. when they came for me. 6 big grown-ass men. Some of those dark, beautiful motherfuckers you was talking about, by the way. I fought like a warrior, but they still left my ass ripped open. 20 stitches to repair. For 6 months, in addition to the pain of shitting, I'm wondering, does this mean I'm a homosexual? My cellmate said, don't worry about it. It's just an initiation. That's what they crew do. You fought back. You held it down. Now that looks at you like a man. Easy for him to say. He was getting out in 1 more year. I did 5.5 years. On my 2nd year locked down, my mother disappeared. No more letters, no more visits, no more commissary. I called home but never got an answer. Soon the number was disconnected. After hassling one of the COs who knew I was a good kid who got caught out there and killed the nigga the neighbors and even the cops wanted dead, he revealed the truth to me. My mother was arrested. In a state of panic, I cried like a bitch and laughed like a madman, because I knew my mother, a devout Muslim, the type who kept her head wrapped, walked with a prayer cloth, and even stopped to pray at work, would never have violated any law. Upon further investigation, I found out her conviction was for transporting drugs. No matter what kind of rumors I heard about the incident, I refused to believe them. 4 years later, when I was released, the lady next door to our old apartment told me my mother was out of prison and in the hospital. I went straight to her. "Son," she told me, "I'm sorry. An inmate from your prison told me if I didn't bring him some drugs to the prison on my next visit to see you, they were going to hurt you again. They said when you come home, I would no longer have a son, I'd have a daughter. I didn't know what else to do. They told me if I told anyone, I'd be attending your funeral. I just need to see your face before I die. Don't cry for me, son. Allah has a place for me. I cannot live here. These are not my people." My mother died trying to tell me about my sister. As she lost her life, the words just wouldn't come out. It took me 4 weeks to find my sister. She had been adopted by a white family. The agency told me I couldn't see her. I couldn't think about getting her back until she's 18, and then only if she wants to come to me. My mother left a will. In her 6 years of work in the U.S., combined with the inheritance left by my father, she had managed to save a good piece of money. Even from prison, she was able to keep up her life insurance payments somehow. I couldn't collect any money according to her will until my sister turned 18. It was placed in a trust under my sister Efe's name. After my release, I searched for work for 6 months. The one line they gave me on every job application to explain, "Have you been convicted of a felony? If so, explain," didn't work out. I mean, how do you explain murder? It just runs people and employers away. The man who took me in when I was jobless and homeless has been like a father to me. For that, he has my eternal loyalty. In my youth, I was taught that if someone saved your life, you owed them your life. With steady work, good money in my pocket, a roof over my head, and all the things a man needs to be more than invisible in this world, I stand firm on my 2 feet. You can't teach me to be a man. You may know a lot, but you know nothing about that. I'm drawn to you, Soulja. I hope you know how to take this. You remind me of my mother. There's something so pure about you. So beautiful. I respect your mind, your body, the whole package. If I could possess you, I know my mother would smile down on me. But could you think about me and you instead of the whole world? Could you think about me? Bilal O'Day. October 1993. Midnight. I'm sorry about your mama. During the months we spent together, I noticed how sometimes you'll be so alive and talkative. Then suddenly you fall into a strange silence. I figured there was a very personal story behind that silence. In time, I told myself, you might confide in me. It just so happens that time is not on your side. It seems you want me to care about your feelings and your family. Yet and still, in your line of work, you don't care about anyone's feelings or family. What makes your mama so important when you would sell crack to someone else's mama? If I dared to love you, my mama, my family, my life would be in jeopardy. It's only a matter of time before you will pay for your wrongdoings. To every action, there is a reaction. And when it comes back to you, the depth of your tragedy will be even greater than the wrongs you perpetrated. How do I know? It's a law of nature. It applies to every human being. Because I love myself and my family and have worked very hard to do the right thing in my life, I don't want to be standing next to you when the walls come tumbling down. And they will tumble. It's ironic that a young man who has so much more than some young blacks in America, a father, a country, a culture, will end up in the same low-life business that killed his mother, with the same attitude that murdered his father. So you say it's about your survival, huh? If that were true, you would have quit after you accumulated some loot. Maybe started a little business. Rescued your sister. But no. The money is in your blood. The money is your God. It's all about the Benjamins. So call it what it is. In life, people make choices. We pay for every little choice we make. You traded everyone else's life for yours. I traded my life for everybody else's. We don't belong together. Drugs is a government game, Bilal. A way to rob us of our best black men, our army. Everyone who plays the game loses. Then they get you right back where you started, in slavery. Then they get to say, this time you did it to yourself. I won't play that game. SS. February 1994. Soulja. It's been a long time. Every man moves at his own pace. I'm free to call you now, on your terms. Now there's no reason you shouldn't accept my calls. Midnight. The Holiday Inn maid woke me up. It wasn't her knocking at the door. It was her knocking and me not hearing her. Then she used her key to let herself in. My body was stretched across the bed, with envelopes and papers everywhere. With my eyes open, they attempted to adjust. Before I could get a clear reading on everything, she asked in a Chinese accent, "You checky out now or stay one more night?" Damn, what time is it? 12. Checkout time. She used as few words as possible. I got up, walked to the dresser, and picked up the Do Not Disturb sign. Placing it on the outside knob, I glanced over at her. Without speaking, she got my point. Get the fuck out. Right now, the daylight was my friend. I needed to use every minute constructively. Not wanting to sleep in the same place twice, I showered, packed myself up, and bounced. The bus system was easy. It stopped right in front of the Holiday Inn. It was weird riding a bus that had stops on the freeway, but it was also convenient. The mall was only a 4-mile ride. Seated in the food court, I put my plan together piece by piece like a puzzle. After arranging all the letters by dates, I realized the most recent one Midnight mailed to Soulja was postmarked from Silver Spring, Maryland. All the other letters he sent to her were mailed from either Brooklyn or Manhattan. After purchasing a phone card, I asked the operator how I could call information in Silver Spring. "Can I have the number for Bilal O'Day?" I asked. "How are you spelling that?" "We have no such listing, ma'am." "Are you sure about the spelling?" I slammed the phone down. Passing the American Airlines ticket counter located right inside the mall, I asked the woman behind the table for the price for a ticket to Silver Spring, Maryland. "The closest airport to Silver Spring is Baltimore. When would you like to fly, ma'am?" The question was so simple, yet so crazy. I had never flown anywhere in my life. "Now," I blurted out. The airline lady laughed. "You'll be leaving out of Newark Airport, I presume." "How far is that from here?" "You could take public transportation from this mall to the airport. It should take about an hour, calculating the stops and all. The earliest flight I could get you on will be leaving today at 5:15, arriving in Baltimore, Maryland at 7 p.m. this evening. Is this a round trip?" she asked. "No, one way." "With 1 day's notice, one way would be $320.97, tax included." "I'll be back," I mumbled. I figured the bus had to be cheaper. All I had was $130 in change. I would also need money once I arrived. The bottom line is I would need much more money regardless. I would need money to stay and money to go. If I traveled to Maryland, it would probably take me a few days to track Midnight down. From the sound of Silver Spring, it was a small town. I checked the obvious places that no one could avoid: the supermarket, the barber, the mall. I'd even go to the post office, the party spots, and ask around. I was sure Midnight had an apartment by now, some place that was laced with all the finer things in life. He would allow me to stay there with him. I had no doubt in my mind about that. Circumstances were different now. When he left, I had a place to stay, or so he believed. Now I had no one to turn to but him. Santiago needed him. Like Midnight said in his letters, a man has his loyalty. After a short shuttle bus ride, I arrived at the Greyhound ticket counter. I was given a schedule for travel to Maryland. The woman quoted a price of $65 one way, which was only $8 cheaper than the round-trip bus ticket. Don't ask me to figure it out. Next to the Greyhound counter was a bus line called Peter Pan. A little Mexican guy handing out coupons called my attention to the place. $25 round trip, the old lady with the "I smoke too many cigarettes" deep voice stated. "I'll take it," I responded with no hesitation. "Let me tell you now, sweetie. This ticket is a special rate. It's non-refundable." I said I'll take it. I didn't know what Maryland had in store for me. I did know that in exactly 1 hour, I'd be out of town. I cut across to the deli and grabbed a seltzer and ordered a sandwich for the road trip. The woman said it was almost a 5-hour ride with the stops included. At the magazine stand, I picked up one fashion magazine, Cosmopolitan, and a pack of butterscotch lifesavers. I don't know whether my stomach was rumbling from hunger or from the excitement of knowing I was going to see Midnight. I was falling in love all over again after reading Midnight's letters. He was right to make it clear that a man has to make his own choices, handle his business and whatnot. She was trying to take a good man and turn him into a broke punk, some kind of poetic philosopher who was of no use to anyone. I'm sure that by the time he got his finger on the pulse of what was going down in Maryland, he had set up his operation and was watching it grow. I approximated almost a year of being gone. I bet his connections were ripe. The bus rolled in 15 minutes early. I grabbed all my stuff to board. The driver swung open the doors. As I lifted my foot to get on, the driver said, "We're not leaving until the scheduled departure time." Aggravated, I stood outside in the cold wind rather than drag all my stuff back into the heated station. The noise was little. Then it got a little bigger. I looked left, then right. No one was close by, so it had to be me. Unzipping my Nike bag, I pushed clothes every which way. Hidden on the inside of a pair of my lingerie was a beeper. Oh shit. Oh shit, it's Bullet. Damn, what does he want? With 5 minutes left of boarding time, I debated. Call him now? Call him later? I gathered my bags and rushed into the station only to find that all 3 payphones were occupied. Peeping a businessman with a cheap suit holding a cell phone, I rushed over to him. "Excuse me, mister, can I use your phone? It's an emergency." He was reluctant, but I gave him the little girl help me look, nervously licking my lips. Still no answer from him, so I repeated myself. "Please, sir, that's my bus right there. It leaves in 5 minutes. I just need to make one call." He handed the cell phone to me. My eyes bounded from the beeper to the phone buttons, punching out the phone number. I pressed send and took a long, deep breath. When Bullet got on the line, I had to be cool, not pressed. "What's up, baby?" I asked softly, immediately noting the aggravation in the businessman's face. "Winter, happy birthday, girl. You official now?" Bullet was hyper and happy. "Oh, shit. I forgot it was my birthday. That's a first." "Thanks," I said, still playing it cool. "I'm coming to get you. Where you at?" "I'm in Jersey." "What you doing all the way over there?" he asked. "I just came out here to do a little shopping. You know how I do it." "Well, get something sexy. Last time this year it was all about you driving me. This year your man got everything under control. We done elevated. What you know about a birthday in Key West? The owner of the cell phone said, Miss, I need my cell phone back. Who that? Who the fuck is that? I know you ain't with no nigga. Oh, a nigga taking you shopping. That ain't nothing. Whatever he got, I could double it. Shit, I could triple it. I'm caked up, Winter. Stop fucking with those small timers. Who is that? He ain't nobody, I said coolly. You damn right he ain't nobody. Tell that nigga to bounce. Tell him. Bullet was all the way gone with anger, so I decided to play him. The phone owner's face grew red with anger as well. Bounce, nigga, I said to the white man. What? He questioned me with his veins popping out of his neck. Give me my phone. The owner reached for his cell phone. Jumping back from his reach, I told Bullet, I told him to bounce. Did you hear me? Good, Bullet said, but the man was demanding his phone back. Oh, what? Is he beefing? Is this nigga beefing? Tell that nigga he better be gone by the time I get there. He's a dead man. If you know what's good for you, you'll bounce before my man gets here, I told the white guy. The confused phone owner warned me. I'm going to get security. I'm going to call the police. Pick me up in Nordstrom's on Route 4 in Jersey, right over the GW Bridge. I'll be on the north side entrance. Don't worry, baby. I'm on my way. Bullet, one more thing. Where's Key West? That's Florida, baby. Don't worry about it. I followed quickly behind the irate man. I handed him his phone before he could alert the authorities, who were nowhere to be found in this little bus station. Thanks was all I said to the man, with a polite half smile. Quickly, I jetted out of the bus station. I jumped on the mall shuttle, jumped out of Victoria's Secret, and dropped my last yard on some sexy lingerie. I jetted to the north entrance of Nordstrom and waited. Standing with only $100 worth of Victoria's Secret goodies, my Nike bag, and the red leather Coach bag, my mouth hung open. Then I checked myself as Bullet rolled around the cream-colored Lexus coupe. All my juices everywhere in my body leaked out with excitement. It took great concentration for me to just not jump out of my skin and go butt dance naked on the hood of the car or something like that. The warmth in the car made the winter cold seem like a crude prank. I checked out every inch of the interior. Yet I knew I had to chill like I ride in one of these whips every day. My father had a car like this. But this was a new model. As my ass fit into the soft grooves of the leather seat, Bullet leaned over 2 inches from my face. Where that nigga at? He been gone, I told him, going right along with it. Bullet threw the car in reverse and raced backwards to the corner of the building. He peered out the tinted windows down the sidewalk lining Nordstrom. Then he shifted in the drive and raced to the opposite corner, checking down the street. My imaginary lover was nowhere to be found. You know you're mine now, he said, like I was a trophy or an expensive piece of jewelry. His lips were wet, teeth white, and hair cut fresh like his barber trimmed it on the drive over here. It had been a year since I took a good long look at him. I don't know if it was his Armani leather coat or if his body was even more buff than when I saw him last. This nigga Bullet thought he had to fight to make me his girl. And I let him believe it too. Little did he know, I was his when he pulled the whip around the bend. Bullet made me throw my Nike bag and all its contents into the garbage. He said he didn't want me wearing nothing no other nigga bought. He could take care of his girl with no problem. I didn't have no arguments. After a 25-minute drive, we parked the coupe in the parking lot of the airport and boarded American Airlines. We sat in the first class section with the executives. Sipping champagne and listening to hits on a CD Walkman, we felt good all the way to Key West. Midnight was doing the most of those letters. I mean, finally telling her the truth of what happened with his family, that was heartbreaking. And all the way through, heartbreaking. But that nigga was still leaving, sending letters like dudes send text messages now. It's been a year and you still on my mind. I was thinking about the last time you came over and how we laughed and ate dinner together. Give your mom a hug for me. You ain't got to respond. That kind of shit. That's the kind of letters he's sending to her. And she's like, I don't want to fuck with you. I found out you're a drug dealer. Like, you lied to me. You did these things. You lied to me. Honestly, what I learned from this chapter is that while Midnight is on another level than Winter, Soulja's on another level than everybody. Because, you know, it's Soulja's book. Also, does she have a real name? All we see her named as a Sister Soulja in this book, that's like a superhero. Like, she even initials her stuff SS. He calls her Soulja. Does he know her real name? Like, she knows his real name, or what she thought was his real name. He had it as Bilal Jones. And then he told her that his real name was Bilal O'Day. But yeah, that whole story, like, yeah, I'm going to jail too if somebody's trying to assault a family member, a sister, a brother, whomever. I'm going to jail. And him saying that, you know, his mom was willing to do whatever for him while he was locked up. At first, I thought that was him leaning sort of towards the same lifestyle that Winter's living, in which her dad was doing whatever she wanted and he was spoiled. But then I thought about it. She was willing to do whatever he wanted because he saved her daughter. He saved his sister. He did the most heroic thing that could be done. And so she was probably thinking that she was doing the same thing for him, that she was saving his life by saying that she would traffic drugs into the prison. But I know a lot of women who get locked up for doing that stuff. And it's not difficult to find them. So, yeah, that's unfortunate. And when she broke it down and was saying that, you know, why would I care about your mama when you selling drugs to other people's mamas? And he was like, can you stop talking about the world and talk about us? That sounded like some real Winter type stuff. That sounded like something Winter would have said. And for Winter to read these letters where he's bearing his soul and not see anything but the, I don't know what she saw in it. She had to have seen the truth. She's reading his words. He's pouring his heart out to this woman that he loves. That's why he was listening to it on the radio. He was still pining after her. But he's listening. She's reading these words that he's writing to her out of love and hope. And she's just like, Sister Soulja's trying to take a good man and turn him into a punk. Winter's gonna grow up eventually. I don't know if it happens in this book or if it happens in the next book. But damn those letters. Damn those letters. I appreciate Soulja standing up against Midnight. Like, I thought that she had Midnight on a pedestal that nobody else could touch. But nah. She took him down too. Damn. If y'all have thoughts, you can send a voicemail to 916-633-1537. You can send an email to ratchetandratchet@gmail.com. Or you can send a DM to Ratchet Book Report on Twitter. We'll be doing the book discussion in a few days. So be ready for that. Thank y'all so much for listening. I greatly appreciate it. Please leave a 5-star review wherever you listen to the podcast at. Yeah, that'll help us be seen by more people. Y'all have a wonderful day. I'll holler at you later. Be good. Peace. The intro and outro to Ratchet Book Club is by That Kid Garan, and it's called Goodbyes. You can email him at tkgbeats94@gmail.com for more information on how to lease this beat.
This single simulcast.
Don't know by now that you slip.